YA read at Waterstones Picadilly.
Because the fairy tales that I had grown up with when I was younger weren't very feminist. Women didn't have a lot of agency in their own stories. They were always victims of the plot. So I wanted to write a story where a woman had her own ambition, had her own goals, and didn't apologise for it, and where she wasn't someone the prince needed to save, but someone the prince needed saving from. Also, who doesn't love a bit of murder? Yeah. Which then, into the crooked place. Who doesn't love a bit of murder?
I see a theme here. I'm kind of worried about
I had a very happy childhood.
Tell yourself that.
Taran, quick, go.
So the Summoner series was kind of my love letter to all things fantasy. It's basically me mashing all my favourite fantasy things into one. And that ended up being described by many as a mix between Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, and Pokemon. So if you like those things, you may very well enjoy the Summoner series. And then the Contender series, I haven't really perfected my pitch for it yet, but it's about a group of teenagers who are transported to another world where many kind of the missing things from history, where we don't know what happened to them, have ended up, and it's populated by prehistoric creatures. And it's kind of like the Maze Runner in that they're trying to figure out who has brought them there and for what nefarious purpose they're kind of there for. And there's also a kind of Hunger Games type competition that they have to take part in as well.
There's dinosaurs, so it's
It's so good. Both of their books are amazing, and Ali's book was my favorite book of last year, and then yours is my favorite book of this year. So that's very convenient. Yes, please type in the back.
Which was better?
So for the Andromeda Saga, which a lot of people are confused whether you call it the Andromeda Saga or the Andromeda Saga. Well, if you ask our audiobook narrators, they call it the Andromeda Saga, so now I guess it's that. But you say it one way, I say it another, it's fine. Just like you guys from the UK say it's called Zenith, and we in the US call it Zenith, so it's all correct. Tomato, tomato. So pretty much Lindsay and I wanted to create a very epic space opera that really showed females' friendship as really good and positive rather than them at each other's necks and hating each other like we see in a lot of books. We also just wanted lots of murder.
Yes, we love murder.
No wonder we bury each other's bodies.
Yeah, I know.
We have a really healthy friendship, but also we wanted to show kind of like a little bit of a forbidden romance. We wanted to show really cool badassery and also a lot of badassery, and a lot of like characters with different shades of gray. Because Lindsay and I like to describe the characters of Zenith as neither good nor bad, because it's really about how you see them, because they all have their pros and cons, most of them cons, and it's all about you guys reading the book series and figuring out which one you side with, because everybody has good things and bad things about them, mostly bad ones.
Speak for yourself.
I'm an awful person. Anyway, so I have kind of brought together some very strange questions, because have you guys ever been to a book signing before? Raise your hand if you have. Okay, so a lot of you. So a lot of the questions are repetitive, and I'm like, you know what? We want to have some more interesting questions. So I've come up with a few.
I've got four.
I know, I made them come up with some questions.
We're very unprepared for these questions.
Yeah, we came up with them over dinner earlier. We were like, quick, Taran.
I didn't really want to tell them about mine because I wanted them to be very freaked out by it.
Okay, we can do a shot.
Let's start with number one, which is very, very interesting. So that is, if your main character could have a weird fetish or phobia, what would they have and why? In addition, would you have the same one? Please go.
Well, I mean, Lyra's a mermaid, so surely bestiality? Which I hope I do not have that fetish.
God. Well, I mean, if you think about self-publishing and dinosaurs on Amazon, you find some very strange books on there. I'm not saying that Kate would be into that stuff, but
you're not saying
I'm not saying
There's still a couple books left in this trilogy.
Oh my god.
And I think Amber should be be nervous as well. Amber's one of the characters in his books. I think that Andy, she would have a phobophobia, which is pretty much the phobia of having any phobia, because she likes to be like this like top-notch, badass girl, and she's like, I'm not scared of anything. But I'm like, actually, girl, you're scared of a couple of things. And
hang on, you can't do a deep question if we've talked about porn. That's not
maybe I set you guys up.
Where's the fetish?
I guess her fetish would be like the blood fetish. Like, that's kind of a weird fetish. Don't go into it online, it's creepy. What? Yeah, no, it's a blood fetish. Like, people have fetishes for blood.
Like vampires.
Vampires. Have you guys seen like the vampire documentary on YouTube where it's like these kids from like southern, they're like live in the south of America.
What We Do in the Shadows.
No, that's a good show though.
That is amazing.
That's an amazing mockumentary about vampires, and I recommend everybody watch either the movie or the TV show version of it. TV show's way better. Anyways, okay, so we're gonna jump into the next question I have, and then we're gonna move on to one of your guys' questions. I'm gonna say Ali's first, so we can really scare Taran before he asks his. We always have to drink.
He's gonna be really sensible.
I know. So, okay, so I have a line from each of your books that are in the language of the place that your family comes from. So I'm gonna hand you guys my phone, and you're gonna be reading it. So Ali, you're not going first. I want Taran to go first because he will actually be able to speak it.
The friendship.
So wait, let me get some backstory. Taran's family, part of it's from Brazil, so he speaks fluent Portuguese. So Taran, go.
I'm a bit rusty, and my mom's in the back, and she's gonna
Exactly.
she's gonna judge me so badly. Okay. Eles circularam debaixo do quê como tubarões debaixo de navio abaixando.
Please read the line that's from.
Oh, you actually wrote it in Portuguese, but that might have helped. What did you say?
Read the line in English.
Oh, they circled below K like sharks around a sinking ship.
That's the first line from his book. Okay,
I
Ali,
should have went
time.
first. I've got to follow.
This is gonna be fun. And also Rusty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god, I can't read.
That's why it's gonna be funny.
So my family's Greek Cypriot. I'm so fluent. Why am I here?
So I want you to be here.
Oh my god. Echo myocardia gia kathy corona pueco sampanos.
Gosh, this
Very
might sound
good.
like
I sound like Delboy.
What?
Monge too.
Okay,
Thank God nobody who's Greek in my family said, yeah, I have a heart for every year I've been alive.
Isn't that really good?
I'm glad none of my Greek family are here.
Oh, I wish that they were. We're broadcasting this to them now.
Live.
No, I didn't want to do this for myself, so I purposely did not put
Yeah.
my
Yeah, that's
no,
so fair.
because you guys actually spoke it well. If I like spoke German, I'd be really scared.
I feel like I could speak German, even though I don't, but I could pull that off more than that.
I'm seeing a trend here where we have to do the horrible stuff.
Yeah,
and
but
then
she
does
does
something.
the deep
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay, wait till you get to
Get
our
over
question.
it. They're fun questions, right? Okay, Ali, your turn.
Oh, okay. Alright, okay. This is going to be an interesting, it's not as dirty as you, I'm sensible, I'm a grown, mature adult. So, no, I actually am. Obviously, To Kill a Kingdom, based on a fairy tale, The Little Mermaid. If you guys could rewrite any fairy tale or any kind of legend, what would it be?
Karen, you go first.
Well, I mean, I've been looking for an excuse to write a fantasy with dragons in it for a while. I mean, the Summoner series also has dragons in a way. But, so, I mean, I was thinking what kind of fairy tale / legend has that, and the St. George kind of legend is interesting, so I'd be interested in looking at that, and perhaps doing a twist on it, because apparently St. George was kind of a messed up guy.
Yeah, it was
not
Samantha
actually much of a hero.
Shannon's The Priory had kind of elements to that, and I went to her talk in Edinburgh, and she was saying, like, she was telling all stories in her talk, and I was like, oh, not a great guy.
He
Like,
sieged a lady's castle because she wouldn't marry him, and then she killed herself
Yeah.
because she didn't want to, or something horrible.
Wow.
St.
So
George.
let's rewrite that to be way better.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is actually not my story idea, it's actually my roommate's, but I think that it's very fitting for this. So she wants to write a Cinderella story. Wait, what's the Cinderella? I think it was. Yeah, where she makes a wish and she brought a fairy godmother who just so happens to be a demon that she accidentally summoned. And then lots of things go badly, leading to more demons taking over this world. And the main character is me, because I'm very oblivious to things. And I would have
You want to write
a
looking at yourself is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I've met Sasha's roommate, and she describes Sasha as the female Butters from South Park. I don't know if you know
No, but actually, because I tend to do things and so stumble my way through them. to get to the other side, it's quite the feat. But yeah, I worry about
Is that
myself
like
sometimes.
an evil fairy godmother type thing?
Yeah, but it's a demon.
Okay, a demon. That's
So it fits very well into Taran Summoner
Yeah,
series.
but my demons aren't like evil.
No, they aren't.
Yeah, they're like cute pet creatures that fight
Yeah, maybe
alongside
that's
you.
what I'll summon. A cute pet Fiona. My dog Fiona. She's adorable.
Okay, right. I have another
Wait,
one.
have you? What would
Well,
you?
I already
what would
wrote the Little
I know, but what would
Mermaid.
you do if it wasn't the Little Mermaid?
I don't know. I feel like there's so many out there that have already been done.
There has been. You managed to take a fairy tale like the Little Mermaid and twist it even
Yeah, it's
darker
like
than the original
pirates.
tale.
It's evil. So instead of like falling in love, she rips out people's hearts,
Great.
which was a nice kind of simile. So yeah, I mean, Cinderella's always an interesting one. There was that stepsister book recently that explores Cinderella from
Yeah,
the
I
point of
saw
view of the
that.
stepsister. So I feel like there are so many good ones out there. Like I did The Little Mermaid, and I'm like, I'll just read what everyone else does now. I'll
Very
do something
nice.
new. That was my first kind of foray into. I want to rewrite what someone else did, and I'm like, and now I want to write my own stuff and take it wherever. Because you're bound by certain rules when you write a fairy tale, right? When you write a retelling,
Yeah.
you're like, you kind of have to slightly follow the
Yeah.
path. You can kill a few extra people along the way, but more or less, it's the same thing, right? So it was super fun to write, but now like I got the taste for murder. I'm like, now I want to kill more people and do more
I
stuff.
worry about her.
Yeah. You should. You're sitting next to me. Okay, right.
Yeah.
Question. Right. If you this is a good one. Right. If you could put your characters into any other young adult book out there, which one would they fit into, and why?
Nobody would want them. they're space pirates. They kill a lot of people and then they justify it by being like, but it's for money. And I'm like, no, you're killing people.
You're going to Aurora Rising, Jay Christoph. Then.
I know, but like,
It's
no, they
space.
would fight against each other, I think. Which
Good
would be
book.
awesome. Like a giant epic space battle, like the.
They could go in the Star Wars way novels, couldn't
Yeah, but
they?
then I'll be such a poser. Everybody thinks that, I'm a huge avid Star Wars fan, but it's actually Lindsay who's the big avid Star Wars fan. I've only seen the first 2.5 movies. I fell asleep during the second half of the third movie.
That's 2.5 more than me. So.
Exactly. So I'm doing really good here. But actually, I would love to see them in like Outlander, my favorite book, because they would just not fit at all, and I would be really worried for Jamie Fraser. He's the love of my life.
Yeah, I'd like to put mine into Zenith because they're like fantasy characters and they'll be like,
Yeah.
I'm in space. And there's
I'd
like,
be like, what is this?
there's like
place?
laser guns. What's going
That'll be
on?
so interesting to see
Yeah.
how they would mesh. I would be very curious. I feel like Fletcher is such a
Time
nice
for a
guy.
crossover novel.
I think that Andy would like Fletcher just because like he's such a personable dude, and he has an awesome demon named Ignatius, and he's adorable.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Would a mermaid or a siren do well in space? I mean,
I mean,
Nero on a spaceship should just be like fooling around the spaceship, just
help anyone.
They could have like a floating tank, you know, like they have those,
the
don't
air
they?
bubble thing.
Yeah, they can have
Should
the
be
air
good
bubble.
at zero gravity.
But a water bubble.
Yes. Or it could be her after she's been cursed. I
Like an
suppose.
upside down goldfish bowl.
Oh my
I mean, I feel like
gosh.
that would ruin her image. She's got this real kind of image. You're like,
Yes,
yes, kind of
yes.
a goldfish bowl.
Wait, I want to see all of our main characters in a spaceship together, and I want us to get in fan art form. So if anybody of you can, draw a stick figure, send it to us later. We'll repost
Stick
it.
figure of a mermaid.
I'll take anything at this point. I just want to see it.
All right, fair enough. Okay, hang on.
Tara, get ready. Your questions are next.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, this was a question that I was asked recently, and I thought it was really interesting. So, because obviously we all write fantasy and sci-fi, what's your favourite mythical creature?
Well, my books have over 100 mythical creatures that are demons that you can summon. So that's a tough
Okay.
question for me.
You're a glutton for punishment.
Yeah, seriously.
I don't know, I think the coolest mythical creature I've ever heard of is what Pikachu is based off, which is a creature called a Raiju. It's a Japanese mythical creature with blue fur, and it takes the form of like a weasel or a dog or a ferret or some kind of thing like it. And it has an obsession with people's navels. It has blue
Wait,
fur and it shoots
people's
lightning power.
what? Navels?
Navels, like
Oh,
it
okay.
sleeps in people's belly buttons.
Oh, that's weird.
It's a Japanese mythical creature, like, you know. That's always going to have something weird
How
about
big
it.
is it?
It's like, I don't know, it varies in
It has to
size.
be really tiny.
Anyway, that's the coolest one I think I've ever come across.
I think it's the strangest one. So I've been writing a book that you guys know as Project Red. That is not the official title. How many of you guys have heard of it? Yay! Hi guys, thank you. I have a few postcards that the first few of you guys in line can have that are based off of it. But anyways, so in the book, the two main characters, who you guys do not know the names of yet, they actually fight this beast known as the Questing Beast that has like the head of a, I think it's a
Leopard.
He helps critique my book, so he knows it more than I do at this point. Leopard, head of a serpent, body of a leopard, tail and claws of a tiger, something like that. And they encounter it in the middle of an archives, which are in the National Library of Scotland. And they are just the coolest creatures and also the most terrifying. I made them have like this aesthetic spit. And so you don't want to be touched by that.
It's a good battle.
It's a good battle. They end up using books as weapons, which are the best weapons of all.
Which you did earlier as well. Sasha told me a great story about how she used my new book to squash a wasp.
Oh my gosh, it was so helpful. I just chucked it out, and it nailed it.
Take it as a compliment.
I know. I feel like the wasp guts off of it, but it's fine. It's great. Thank you for ending up.
Yeah, you're welcome.
saving my life.
Mine, I mean, obviously I like sirens and mermaids. I like sea creatures. I love all those mythical creatures. Although recently I was told by my lovely cousin that when I was talking about the Loch Ness Monster, that was actually, the legend came from whale willies. So that's kind of ruined that
really
for
strange.
me. Yeah, apparently they used to
they
put
turn
their
upside
willies,
down.
and that's where the Loch Ness Monster came from. So I don't think I'll be writing about that.
I think you
from
should.
now on.
I think you should.
Maybe I should write about it because of that.
Yeah, for me
Yeah.
at least. Write me a short story.
About whale willies?
Yes.
Called Free Willy.
Oh my god, now it's happening. Karen, your question.
Yeah, you go.
Oh, okay. So my first question is going to put Sasha on the spot, which is, what is the most unusual interaction you've ever had with a fan of your writing or yourself?
So,
But it's for everyone, obviously.
I've had amazing experiences with every single, follower of mine and friend of mine. You guys, literally, I like to say that whenever I meet you guys, we already have something in common, which is books, and so it instantly feels like a friendship. It's really wonderful. But there are the occasions that it gets a little bit creepy, and that was at BookCon last year when I was in the bathroom, and I heard people whispering outside, like, that's Sasha, and for me, I'm a normal person, it's not weird, hi, I have red hair, but that's pretty much the only interesting thing about me. But when I open up the door, this mother comes and bombards me with her two daughters, which we're in the bathroom and her phone's out, and she's taking photos of this encounter right when I exit the toilet, and she's like, I was gonna stick my phone in and take a picture, but my daughter said not to, and I'm like, oh, I'm glad that your daughter said not to. That would be illegal. And then she shoves the camera in my face and starts taking photos of her two very embarrassed daughters and me. It was very rattling and very uncomfortable, and then she proceeds to say just very interesting things that I'm forgetting right now, but I remember being very uncomfortable, and I'm over by the sinks washing my hands, and she's like, oh, we're going to be going to your signing later, we can't wait, and I'm like, oh, then maybe you should have waited until then to take the photos, so there's not people in the background looking at you like you're crazy.
Wait, so one-of-a-kind photo.
It's a one-of-a-kind photo of me looking frazzled while exiting the toilet.
I heard that Madonna takes her toilet seat with her.
Yes,
Because people will try and sell her toilet seat on eBay, apparently.
Oh my gosh, if somebody did that to me, that would be
There's
the highest form of
people do
compliment. Oh my gosh, no, but it's really strange. So if you ever see somebody in the toilet, for me, it's more like the other people around me that I'm feel bad for, because they're just trying to do their business, so just let them. Me too.
What about best?
Yeah, that's on to best.
Oh, my best one was whenever somebody cosplays one of my characters, because it's so crazy and amazing and so phenomenal that I'm like, thank you.
Yes,
thank
you FaceTime me at BookCon.
Yeah. Oh yes.
There was someone who dressed up as Lyra from To Kill a Kingdom, and Sasha,
why was she
while I was
talking?
driving in the car,
Lyra!
FaceTime was like, I'm driving, Sasha. She's like, yeah, but look.
It's your character. I spotted her from across from her. I literally yelled, I'm like, you're dressed as Lyra, and she's like, yes. I'm like, let me FaceTime Ellie. They caught me so unaware.
I was driving home. I was just like,
You're doing fine. Didn't crash the car.
no, someone else held the phone for me, just to clarify. I wasn't holding the phone.
I thought you
FaceTime.
had it in a little
No.
phone
I had an assistant.
Okay, there you go. The sister of phone holding. No, but it's so crazy because you go to these events, you see, if you have all their friends, and you see them with, you go out to events and you see their characters in front of you and they're not there, you're kind of like, okay, this feels weird, I need to get them on FaceTime so they can see it.
That was one of my favourite memories.
I haven't seen a Fletcher yet, but when I do.
Oh yeah, there's loads on my Instagram.
Yeah, people always dress up as your characters on Instagram.
On World Book Day and Halloween, I get 15 Fletchers.
You always post, I'm like, oh my god, and they're quite young lads as well, which is really cool.
I dressed up like Amber though from your Contender Series.
Yeah, Sasha did an amazing cosplay of that.
I go all out, literally,
she was planning what sword to use for a week. I was with her, and she was like, this sword, and they were talking about swords.
It's a British schoolgirl with a samurai sword, and looks awesome. If you haven't seen it, go on.
Well, she actually had cleaver, not a cleaver. It's
An
like
axe.
An axe.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find an axe that would come to me.
But she does fight with a samurai sword as well.
She
so
does,
it's okay.
yeah. So it fits. So that was really fun. So go check out those photos. They're really cool.
What about you, Ali? What's your best and worst experience?
So cosplays are always good, but I did have, it was one of my earlier events last year. I had a reader come and she bought one of her friend's books, and it was all marked, like all the pages were marked, and she'd written notes on it and like tabs of all the bits that she loved, and she was like, this is my friend's book, can you sign it for her? And I was like, yeah, of course. And I signed it. So I really want to keep it. It's just so amazing that someone went to that much detail. She's like, no, you can't keep it. Give it back. It's my friend's book. You know. And then a couple of weeks later, the girl whose book it was actually came to an event of mine, and she said, I heard you wanted to keep my book, and she had rewritten all of her notes and all of her tabs into another version and give back to me. And that's, to my day, it's my favourite thing I've ever received from reading. And whenever I like go to an event, I need to bring a book. I always bring that copy with me. It's one of my favourite things.
It's so fun seeing like what people sticky note and comment about, because you as the author, if you're not really
And they
aware
colour
of
code
that
it
stuff.
sometimes, don't they? So
Yeah,
like,
for their
the pink
favourite
ones are the kissing scenes, the other ones are the fighting scenes.
A lot of
etc.
pink ones.
Yeah.
I have Lindsay and I actually forgot to include a lot of romance in the first book, so we had to include it in the second book as more of a prominent thing, and it still came in at the third draft where we're like, oh yeah, there's a relationship. These were so focused on the storyline where the relationship takes a kind of like a backseat. Because,
I do find it weird sometimes when people are trying to survive and they're getting attacked and shot at, and they're like, but now we must kiss.
There's a scene in To Kill a Kingdom at the end. Literally, the world has ended, and sirens of humans are battling each other, and they're like, but just 1 second. Who doesn't love a snob?
It was Aquaman, right? It was Aquaman where everyone's dying, and they take 30 seconds to
That was
kiss.
a long
It's like
kiss.
200 people died, so you could have that kiss, guys.
You're welcome.
It better be a good kiss, right?
Yeah.
What about you?
Wait, you skipped the worst experience question.
But you know what? I haven't had nobody's followed me when I'm peeing.
Great.
Thank God. Don't start now.
Doesn't happen often.
Yeah, I've never had a bad experience with a fan, to be honest.
So if anyone's wishes
If
to be a
anyone wants to be
story,
mean to me,
get ready. So for me, I haven't told this story in ages, so I may get it wrong. But okay, so I just become an author for the first time, and I did a fan fiction competition on Wattpad. And I got this message from this girl who was writing fan fiction of my book, and she asked me if I could okay what she was writing, and I was like, well, you don't really need to, but fine. And she was like, okay, so I want to write a character, kind of insert them into your world, and it's going to be a guy, and he's going to be gay with your main character, Fletcher. And I was like, yeah, that's fine, of course you can write that. And then she said, but then my main character is going to get Fletcher pregnant. And I was like, okay, that's very unusual, because it's a guy, but I was like, you know what, that's fine, fan fiction is what you make of it. But then she said, and then when he gives birth, it's going to be you, Taran. And you'll be a character, and they're going to raise you together, and they're going to come out fully formed as like an adult. And then I'll be a character as well, and I was like, you know what, that's where I draw the line. So I forgot about this conversation, because the fan fiction competition went on for a while. And then a few weeks later, I was reading the chapters, and I read, only one of them was pretty good, quite readable, and I was like, okay, that one's got to be the winner. So I announced who the winner was, and then I went to message her on Wattpad, and it was the same person. And she just hadn't written that bit in, because it was just one chapter, and she won. And,
so that's your best experience, right?
That was my weirdest experience. I wouldn't say it's my worst experience, it was my weirdest experience. And then the best experience, it's so hard to choose because I get so many wonderful messages, particularly so I get two types of messages. One is from parents whose sons, usually, or sometimes daughters, who never read, have started reading because they enjoyed my books, and those are perhaps some of the special ones because reading is so incredible and wonderful and a huge impact on my life, and being able to introduce someone to the love of reading matters so much. Then I don't know if there's autistic forums or something for parents with children with autism, and for some reason my book's being used to introduce lots of autistic children to read. I'm not sure why that is, but I get a lot of messages from parents who say my autistic child, they absolutely love your books, and it's the only thing that calms them down, or it helps them go to sleep at night, and I get a message like that maybe once every 2 months, and that's really nice. But just 2 days ago...
Is this the marriage one?
Yes.
I was going to say, if you didn't say that, I was going to say that.
It's so sweet. So I got this message from this Filipino man who had met his wife through reading my book. Apparently they'd met in church, and they both read the same book, and they bonded over it, and then they got married, and they took their wedding photos or their engagement photos with my book in them and they sent them to me, and it was really, really, really sweet. And he said, please feel free to share it on Instagram, so it's on there if you're interested. And yeah, it was that's a really nice experience. To be honest, I'm just thinking of more now, but I don't want to take up the whole time. But actually, that's probably the best thing about being an author is just seeing your books having a positive impact on someone's life is far better than a nice review or going to a book signing and feeling important. Like it's really those messages that mean the most. So if you've ever enjoyed a book by an author, you'd be surprised how much just a Facebook message or a Twitter message means
Tell
to
them all
them.
the time it's the best. Even just knowing that you made someone smile just even for a minute, or that you like sparked a bit of joy in just one day.
It means a lot.
Yeah. So we're going to answer one more question before we open it up to audience Q&A. So please have some questions ready, or else I'll call on you. So let's answer your last question about.
Well, surely you've got one. I know you thought of so many. I
mean,
feel
okay.
bad to take one up.
Well, we'll do your last one, which was the fanfiction one, and then we'll do one of mine, which is the death one. So.
Okay, I'll be quick.
We'll end on a high note.
What's the first fanfiction you remember writing as an author? Because every author, I feel, has one, and it's often very embarrassing.
Okay, I wrote like Draco Malfoy porn when I was. Yeah, look, Draco was hot, and we were the same age, so it wasn't weird or anything. I was the appropriate
It's weird to
age.
think that now.
And
isn't
like,
it?
yeah, and he was like the ultimate kind of back in that day, like the bad boy, wasn't he? Like the kind of like the OG bad boy.
And
Like
there to
children's
tell
book.
father.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
So sexy.
yeah. Just what I like in a man. Yeah.
I met the actor 2 years ago, and I told him
He's
I'm
like
like
the nicest
Gryffindor's
person.
rule, and he's like Slytherin, and I'm like, okay, cool. I still get to read the last 2 books in the Harry Potter series, but you're cool.
He's the best. They're all
it was
so
really
friendly.
random.
He's not at all like Draco
He's so
Malfoy.
sweet. He was wearing a little top hat.
But that ruins my fantasy, so don't tell me.
No, he wears Muldery, and yeah. great-
My brother
great
went to
laugh.
school with Daniel Radcliffe, and I got to meet him.
Oh my god.
Really?
And
I
his
saw him in
his
that
hobby
play.
was magic tricks.
Really?
Like card tricks and
That's so
stuff.
funny.
And he got really annoyed at me because I saw what he was doing, and I was like, oh, that you just did that. And he was like, well, you just ruined it now. And then he didn't talk to me for the rest of the party. It was so very
Oh, see,
sad.
I've never met him, but I saw him in that play, Equus, where he was just like naked and I was in the front row, just like, hey, Daniel.
See, she admitted to liking it. You said you liked bestiality earlier, and now you're just confirming it for me.
Anyway, you.
So I went through a time where I was a huge believer. Was anybody else a believer here? Justin Bieber? Yeah? Raise your hands.
You
Come
can see
on,
the
let everybody
shame.
know.
You can see the shame
Yeah,
in
look
your
at
eyes.
So I was a huge believer. I had a cardboard cutout of Justin Bieber in my bedroom that I would kiss every night before bed. I was super ridiculously weird. So I was a huge fan, but I was also a huge fan of Criminal Minds. That show, the crime show, yeah. So I decided that I would mesh 2 of my most favorite things together. So I wrote Criminal Minds Justin Bieber fanfiction. And so it was called FBI Girlfriend Pop Star Boyfriend, where they first meet because there's this was written like 10, 15 years ago. It was a while ago, but there's pretty much a person who wanted to shoot and kill Justin Bieber at one of his concerts, and this girl, who was this FBI agent at the age of 16, because that's totally real, and she was just there patrolling it, and all of a sudden she sees this shooter, and she goes and tackles him just as he shoots his gun, and she saves Justin Bieber's life, and then they fall in love.
I feel like that could actually be like a YA
I know,
contemporary.
and then
like,
guess
that would
what?
work.
You
That
can't
could be like
find
the top book on Wattpad, you know?
Yeah,
I feel
it
like
could,
back in the day.
Guess what? The forum that was on got deleted. So all of my hard work for my Justin Bieber fanfiction meshed with Criminal Minds got deleted. But I'm gonna rewrite it one day.
Coming out of a bookstore near you.
Coming to a bookstore near you. No, I'm kidding. Justin Bieber totally fell off the face of this earth. Like, what is he even up to nowadays? Don't know.
He wants to box Tom Cruise.
Oh God.
That's the last thing I heard about him. Mine's really boring. I wrote a fan fiction of like various movies for fun, usually horror films, like The Tooth Fairy, which you guys have probably never watched
Ooh,
before.
is that the one where he's got like a sleep disorder?
No, it's one where if
Oh,
you
no,
look
that's
at, if you look at them, if you see them, then you die or something. So you have to keep your eyes closed. You know, when they're attacking.
It's like
Yeah.
and there's this guy that like can't ever go to sleep because if you turn out the lights as well.
Yeah, I was that Don't Be Afraid of the Dark.
I can't remember what it's called.
They have lots of movies like that.
Yeah,
Where it's
yeah,
like, you
I
can't look at them,
Even
basically.
the Tooth
You
You
Fairy
either keep your eyes
was
closed or
really
you have to be in the dark.
Yeah.
But anyway, what was cool was after I got published, DreamWorks got in touch and I got to write an official How to Train Your Dragon fan fiction, which was fun. And then they realised that they were infringing on the rights of the book and they cancelled it after I finished writing it. But it was going to be all over the movie website and all this stuff, and then they were like, we'll still pay you, but we won't use it.
So sad.
So I put it on Wattpad and it's still there to this day. There you go.
Wow.
I'm gonna read that like that. I'm invested.
Okay, so the last question I have is, what's your favorite way of killing somebody? Ellie, go.
Oh, me?
Or
What, hang on, in real life or in fiction?
In fiction.
Like,
You may get charged for murder.
well, I'll go with, so into Cooking, Lyra literally rips out and collects hearts and buries them underneath her bed. The weirdest thing to collect ever.
Totally normal.
I thought I was strange for collecting bookmarks, but that kind of takes the cake. So I think that's quite a good way to kill someone. Literally rip out their heart, quite symbolic. In my new book, Into the Crooked Place, there's lots of black magic and charms. People use voodoo dolls a lot. And if you buy some at discount, you get the pins included.
Oh, that's
so
obvious.
it's like a very, it's a very lucrative way to murder someone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
It's a good book, okay?
Yeah, it is.
Murder someone with magic and then it's not traceable.
Ah. I don't want to ask. Okay.
I'll just be very quick. Rip to shreds by creatures is usually the best way to go for me.
Do you know what, that's less creepy. I was on a panel once and someone asked this similar, and then someone actually went, put them in a bathtub and dissolve them in acid, and really went for it.
If you live in an apartment building.
That's why I
that is
asked real life or
harmless.
fiction, so I wanted to clarify.
Yeah. So also, if you need to bury a body, bury it. I think it's vertically, so that way that when they scan the surrounding area using their like new technology that they have, they're searching for like horizontal graves, not vertical. So you'll be fine. And actually bury a corpse of like an animal above it. I learned this from my roommate. It's not from me. I'm really worried for her.
But you know what, my university professor actually said to me, if you're going to kill someone, do it secluded place, gunshot, and you can just make sure a good aim. Because if you do a gunshot once, people will think, oh, what was that? And won't pay attention. It's only if you have to use 2 gunshots that people will know it's gunshots. So shoot someone, but only once.
Yeah,
was my university professor's tip.
Actually, when I used to live in Texas, people used to just want to go and shoot guns out of a nearby backyard, and I'm like, this is why I need to leave this place. Anyways, I thought it was fireworks. So the way that I would kill somebody, I just love this way. It's so gross. Just Google it. I'm not going to describe it. Just being hanged, drawn, and quartered. Is it drawn, hanged, and quartered?
Like Braveheart.
Braveheart. It's not fun, and it's really gruesome, and it's so epic. Okay, guys, now let's do some audience Q&A.
Questions. Oh, by the way, we're going to do kind of like, we've got advanced copies of my new book, Into the Crooked Place, so the Black Magic Deal. So I think the first 5 people that ask a question, you can have 5 copies.
Ooh.
So I want 5 hands up because that's embarrassing.
We're gonna go with her right now.
Yay! Hello. So taking on the idea from your Summoner series, if any of your characters could summon a demon of your choosing, like not necessarily from the books, but like make your own up, what would they summon and who would summon them?
Can I summon Lucifer from Netflix? Because hello.
Please. Please do.
Cancel yet.
No, they've renewed it.
Exactly. Oh God, this is Fiona, my dog.
Yes.
She would. So she likes doing this thing. She has anxiety. Like it's actually proven she has dog anxiety. It's really sad. But she likes to pace around in circles for no reason. So she would make somebody very dizzy and want to pass out.
Good distraction as well.
Good distraction. She texts me every day. She's so cute. But yeah, she would be a good distraction demon. And she can be a demon sometimes when she wants to just like jump up on you repeatedly and wants to push you over.
And I'd steal Ignatius from my main character, Fletcher. Sorry,
Yeah.
Fletcher.
Here's another one.
Yeah.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
I know you're good friends in real life, right? I was just wondering, how have you met?
We actually met
On tour last
tour.
year.
We were just like, they
Oh.
were like, do you want to go on tour with Sasha? I was like, yeah, why not?
I
And
remember
then,
meeting you last year, actually,
Yeah.
on tour. Like, I met you through Ben.
Yeah.
Ben, do you guys know
Oh,
Benjamin
yes.
Holmes?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Ben, yeah, and then...
Ben and I have been friends for years.
Yeah,
and
so
then
many long.
he was
Yeah,
just
I've been friends with him longer.
It's a competition.
Yeah, no, we saw Ben a few years ago, and it was really nice because it's like so cool seeing your friends that you've been friends
we were
with
just
for so
forced
long.
together, and then luckily
I
we
know.
liked each other
Are
quite
you
a
sure
lot.
about that?
Because, like,
That's what you think.
I'm kidding. No, but it's really nice. It's amazing when you can meet friends, like, and people, like so many of my friends, most of my friends are from this book, the book world, so it's really nice that you
Yeah, she had
become
that
friends
shared
over
passion.
one thing, and then it just grows.
and when
to
you
others.
moan about it, people know what you're moaning about. Like,
Yeah.
that's the best thing about publishing. Publishing is like 50% writing,
But
and
at some point,
50%
you're just like,
bitching
can we
about
not talk
writing.
about publishing? Can we not talk about books? We talk about like Love Island or something. The giant
I stayed at
Love
her house for like a week, and we watched Love Island every night.
Who watches Love Island here? Thank you. Don't spoil me. I'm a week behind.
Right, 3 more. This side. Yeah.
I was wondering what book you read as a kid to get each of you into like reading more and writing.
Ooh.
The Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. That's the reason why I dyed my hair red in the first place, and I've continued damaging it since. It's great. No, but now I use overtone, which is way better on your hair than traditional dyes.
Hashtag sponsored post.
I honestly, no, I wish it was. They should sponsor me. I freaking love them. But I won't. Whatever.
Do you know, I will say I didn't actually read a lot when I was younger. The books at school were really boring for me, and they kind of like diminished my love of reading quite a lot. So it wasn't until I feel like I was in like maybe year 12, like upper secondary school, that I started reading young adult stuff, and I started reading Sarah Dessen books. And they were just so magical, and like she's so quotable. Like some of the stuff she says, she'll just say something that it just is so magic. It'll be like talking about a pothole, and you're just like, that's the deepest thing I've ever heard. So yeah, her, and then I started reading Maggie Stiefvater for fantasy, and the kind of whimsical, like magical realism of that really brought me into it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I didn't read a lot as a child, apart from Peter Pan, which remains my favourite book today. I collect the editions of that, but apart from that, yeah, I was bad until I was a lot older. I blame school.
I didn't, like, I honestly never really read at school. Like, I sparked note and everything. I'm so bad. And then I would just read the books I wanted to read.
I loved Artemis Fowl back in the day. It's still going, can't believe it.
Yeah.
And the film's coming out soon. And the Red Wall series, I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but I read all of them twice, pretty much. And then I kind of ran out of books. I started stealing my dad's books, and he would read like historical fiction by Bernard Cornwell and Wilbur Smith, and they became my favorite authors. So yeah, all of those.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe someone
So
thought
I
about
picked a couple of people.
someone
So
thought we
Karen
want to pick
Tarrant's
the.
got
Oh, okay.
pictures.
Yes. By the pillar. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, excellent.
What would be your least favourite genre to write about, and why?
Historical fiction.
That'd be like my next favorite.
Just because I'd feel quite confined by that personally, of like having to adhere to certain rules and having to really research so much to make sure I get it accurate. Because I feel like if you're lazy and don't research, people will pick up on it really quickly. So yeah, I like to create new worlds rather than go back into old ones. So yeah, I don't read a lot of historical fiction. I don't know if that reflects badly on me.
Okay.
Probably. It's just I'm not very cultured. But yeah, I like reading stuff set in the future and set in the present. But set in the past, I always get scared that I'm not going to do it right. I'm not going to do it justice. So I think that trying to write that would give me a lot of anxiety, because I'd be so worried about getting every single detail right. I'd take myself out of my own story. I have so much respect for people that can do that and can do it so accurately.
Still better read Project Red then.
I'm going to read it.
Yeah.
You have to give it to me first.
I know, she's been asking for it. I'm like, just wait another month. You.
Contemporary kind of modern day issues stuff. I think I would be really bad at writing. Like I need an epic backdrop with like huge wars and things to make
You
my
need the
story
samurai
interesting.
swords and
I couldn't make it interesting if it was like frenemies at school or something, like having fights. I think I wouldn't be able to make it interesting. I don't know. I'm not that talented. I'm always very impressed by people who can make like just something that's happening in the kind of modern day.
Make everyday issues.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
So amazing and so important, so kind of you get really, really into the story, you want to turn the page to see what happens next. It's just everyday issues, but for some reason it sucks you in. Yeah.
Holly Goober does it so well with her book Verity. Have you guys read it? It's so amazing. Anyways, I think that I would never shut any door to any genre because, you know, I used to say I would
Okay,
never
make
write
us look
contemporary.
bad.
No, but it's good where it gets interesting. So I always thought I would never write contemporary, but now that's like kind of like the next book on my list after I'm finished with Project Red and everything. So I actually would shut a door on science fiction actually right now, because I always want to try to expand my writing and writing different genres. So as right now, like science fiction, I don't plan on doing anything else with science fiction as of right now. Ask me in 10 years, who knows. But even though I'm a huge science fiction fan and I love the world I created with Lindsay with the Andromeda Saga, but honestly, I'm going to shut the door on science fiction and open it up to fantasy.
It's nice to do new
contemporary.
stuff and be like, oh, I've done that, now I want to. Because the best thing about being an author is you literally are a kid in a candy store, like, oh, I want to do this, I
But
want to
like
do this, I want to
sometimes,
do
like,
this.
you know, sometimes you, publishing wants to say, like, you know, you have to stay in your genre. But honestly, do whatever the heck you want and screw, like,
That's what I
the
always
social
say.
norms in publishing,
Yeah.
because you have to write what you want to write, or else it becomes taxing and boring. And
Well, I think some of the worst writing advice I've heard is people saying write what you know and only what you know, and I'm like, well, I don't know how to be a killer mermaid, but it's a good book. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like just saying just write what you know really limits you. Like, don't write what you know. Write what you want the world to be. Write the story you want to read.
Write about men and
kids. Don't limit yourself. The whole point of being an author and writing books is that you get to do whatever you like, and that's the fun thing. Have fun. Yeah.
How many questions do we have left?
We've had 4, so we've got 4 as many as
Someone at the back.
Yeah. Okay. Who's right? Right at the back.
I want to know what's your favourite place you've travelled for a book today?
Oh, I just got back from Colombia. I'll say just like a month or 2 ago, and that was my favourite place just because it's completely different to any other place I've ever been, and it was so nice to experience like an entirely different culture to mine, to be immersed in it. People didn't like speak English, which was great for me, so I could try and learn another language, and yeah, just to meet people who I would never ever have met. That's such a fun thing about being an author, is you literally meet people from the other side of the world that you would never have even spoken to, let alone see face to face. So Colombia was magical. The food was guys, the food.
I need to visit Colombia.
I know, honestly, it was so good. I went to the capital in Bogota, and it was just, it was amazing. Everyone was so friendly. I don't know, like, being in London, we're not very friendly people, but
oh gosh,
like the capital of England's not very friendly, but the capital of Colombia, everyone's so nice. I was like, oh my god, we're in a city, people are talking to each other, they're making eye contact.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Wait, I want to get serious before you say Japan.
Yep.
Got it.
Well, I've been invited to Tajikistan to do a tour, which I wasn't even aware was a country until I got an email from a school there who wanted to fly there. Yeah. I'm going to do a horse trek out there or something, maybe.
So that'll be your new favourite, that might overtake Japan.
No, Japan is, I've been there several times, it's so fun.
Just for the food, or?
The food, the people, the culture, it's amazing.
Food.
Yeah, the food.
I'm boring because I have not been to any other country besides the US, Canada, well, been to a few, US, Canada, and the UK for book events. But I would have to say it's going to Scotland. I mean, I love you guys here, but I've been here every other month, so it's become more of like a second home than a place that I go that's all new. It's more like, yeah, I love coming here. It's just like normal. But Scotland, going and doing events there, especially because it's like my favorite place in the world. It was such a wonderful and kind of surreal thing to have my book in the bookstores there. And I hope that one day Project Red can be there too, because he's placed in Scotland.
That was the worst.
I know,
if anyone's Scottish in the audience, they're just about to walk out.
I know that, Michael, don't walk out.
There's Michael.
He's been trying to teach me how to say things.
You failed at your teaching.
I introduced Michael to Sasha.
Yeah.
Michael is Scottish, and he is Sasha's Scottish consultant.
Yeah, my Scottish consultant for Project Red.
And he does not like it when Sasha does a Scottish accent. It's never good.
No, I'm awful with accents. It's okay.
How long for time?
Let's do one more question, and
Okay, one more.
we can wrap up.
Do you guys want? I've picked like a bunch. I feel like you
Go on,
guys pick.
Sasha.
Black.
How do you get over the fear of people not liking your books?
You just accept that they won't. To be honest, some people, you're never going to please anyone, like in any form of life, in any job, in any social situation. Someone's always going to have a problem with something that you do. So you just kind of have to accept that someone's going to love it, and for everyone that loves it, someone's going to hate it. But writing gives me joy because I like it and I like what I've written. And as long as I'm happy with what I've written, then I can put it out into the world knowing that it's the best it can be. And I think that helps to know that this is something that I'm proud of. So if someone doesn't like it, that's okay, because I like it and I know someone else will.
Well, and it sucks. I'm just gonna put that out there. It sucks that when people don't like what you write, but you know what? You just gotta suck it up. It may take a few days, it may take a few weeks, it may take a whole entire year. Like when I first came out of Zenith, I would read negative reviews and I would be so
Don't do that.
I know, but no, it's inevitable. You get tagged in them, it happens,
Yeah.
and you have to go and suck it up sometimes and be like, but wait, people are out there, they love it, and you have to latch onto that, even though seeing the positive definitely does not always outweigh the negative, because the negative has a way to stick to you like a second skin.
You
and
remember
kind of
bad
lag you
things
down.
more, don't you?
You do. But time heals all wounds with that. And I now can see a bad review. I'm like, thank you, sweetheart. No, but seriously, for example, at BookCon, I would come face to face with some people who did negative reviews for my books, and I will just introduce myself to them and give them all the love.
Well, it's
as I would
nothing
give the next
personal.
person.
People have
It's
different
nothing
tastes.
personal. Yeah, no, it's nothing personal. You just have to be like, well, thank you for giving it a shot, and you move on, because people are not there.
They bought the book, right? So
Yeah.
for me, it's like,
Thank
hey,
you.
you bought it. You know,
I've got
that's
your
it.
money.
Yeah, I mean, I have two techniques. One is I go to my favorite book and I read the negative reviews for that book, and I'm like, okay, well, there's people out there who hate this fantastic book that I absolutely love, so therefore there are people who have terrible opinions out there. And the second one is, I tend to just read the positive reviews as I read the negative ones, so I've actually read every review of my books ever. I'm weird like that.
I don't recommend you doing that.
Yeah, I don't recommend it. But I tend to read them in batches where you're reading positive reviews and negative reviews at the same time, just because they'll always be scattered through there. And the positive ones, they far outweigh the negative ones in the impact they have on me when I'm reading them, to
I
be
think
honest.
sometimes there are a few bad, like 3-star reviews where you get the kind of positives and negatives are actually really good to read, because then someone didn't love your book, but you get that constructive criticism, so you know, okay, that's something that I can bear in mind for the next book. So
it's
I know they say
that's why
all
I read it.
criticism will give you kind of something that you learn from it in some way.
It is for learning, that's why I read them. And also just to kind of gauge the market and see what people seem to hate, and then avoid writing about that again.
Yeah.
So,
I have some of my closest writing friends go through my reviews and give me a bullet point list of what is good, what is talked about as bad, and I use that to grow my writing. Because me personally, I know that I take things to heart really easily, and I devised this way that I still get the critique that I need to become a better writer, but I get it in a way that's more easily digestible than it would have been with me going in and reading it like this. I go over here, but generally, it's a process that you have to learn and you have to grow with. And for example, when you come out with the second book, oh my gosh, it's totally different. Like, I have been getting so many amazing and positive reviews with Nexus, and it's because you've taken the advice from the first book and the critiques from the first book, and you've implemented them in a way that you see fit, and it helps grow your writing. And
also, the people that are reading the second book are people that love the first book, because that's why they're reading the second one. So you're like,
okay. And then you get asked questions at events that are really particular, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know the answer to this, and I'm the author. But so I want to end this panel by asking you, what is next, Taran?
Well, the Chosen, book 1 in the Contender Series, is going to be a trilogy, if not more, if it sells well. If it sells okay, then I might cut it off at a trilogy and move on to something else. And it's described by many as a mix between The Maze Runner, Hunger Games, and Jurassic Park. So if that sounds cool, hope you enjoy it.
It's an amazing book. I highly recommend everybody read it. And if you don't, I will find you. Same with the Cricket, which is
Into the Cricket Place is coming out, and the first 5 people that ask the questions, please come up to the signing line, and we'll have the art ready for you. I didn't forget. Into the Cricket Place. I'm writing book 2 for that now. The deadline is fun, and it's my first series, so it's a brand new experience. You guys are kind of like series pros now, and I'm just there like. Yeah, that's a series. Into the Cricket Place. Yeah, so it's a new experience. But I think after I finish with Crooked, I'm gonna go back to writing more fun standalones, because I've loved writing a series book, but I have so many, like I said earlier, shiny new ideas, kid in the candy store things. So I have kind of a list of 10 different things which I'm probably not allowed to discuss, but for now, magic and murderers.
Tell me everything. So for me, I've been writing Project Red for 2.5 years now. It's been an idea in my head for the past 5 years. So I'm finally coming to the end of writing the 3rd draft, and then after that, it's going on submission to publishers, and hopefully somebody wants it and picks it up. If not, I'll self-publish that thing, so everybody can read it, because I've been talking about it for so long. But if you want to follow along in my process with writing Project Red, I have an Instagram page dedicated to it. It's called Project Red Book. Go on there, follow it, and you can see what's inside my mind when I write it, which is lots of pretty colorful things.
And I've read the first draft, and it's fantastic.
Thank you.
As well.
Thank you. You're one of the
I read a very kinky bit, and it was fantastic.
I know.
It was only one line. So she was like, "What do you think of this line?" I'm like, "Put it in."
Put it in.
And that was the line as well.
Yeah, that was the line. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for coming and supporting us. But first, I want us to all get a picture with you guys holding up your books. So can we do that? Mm-hmm.